are back to discuss Finding Your Way, 7 Ways to Love and Heal Yourself. And we are back with the infamous Miss Keisha Bell Ross.
Hola.
Yeah, so lots went on since the last time we talked. I loved the reaction to the last video, so I'm happy for us to be back now talking about chapters 2 and 3. Oh man, so I don't even know where we're going with this one, so you have to tell me where we're going.
You know what? I'm happy to be back too. Like this again, I know I said it before, and it's just not because it's you, because we like each other, love each other. Let me take that back. We love each other enough to tell each other the truth. Part. I wouldn't be sitting here if I wasn't thoroughly enjoying that.
When she can work. Okay, we not.
You know
what?
That. Never mind. Exactly. Let's just dive into it.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2 is my. That doesn't even make sense for me to say chapter 2 is my favorite because that means something too. So far, you know why? It's because it's something that I say every day. Because the title is "It Change Your Vocabulary, Transform Your Life." Something I say every day is words have creative power, and I got that from Pastor Bernard from CCC. But it's true, and I learned that a long time ago. Your words shape your world. So I was like, I hate to say this. This is my New York in me, dumb excited when I saw it.
not the New York.
The New York in me, dumb excited.
Okay,
sorry.
Let's talk about
the change of vocabulary, transform your life. So let's get into it. Okay. The thing you started off with, I was just like, you know me, with not my highlighter, but my purple pen. Think about all the times you have spoken things into existence.
Yep.
Negative or positive.
Right.
So let's jump into it.
So this is a lot of this came about because I don't know about you, but I know for me, there was a lot of things that were going on in my life where I wanted one thing, but I would say something completely different. And then I was like, man, I started thinking about, I'm really shaping my world with what I'm speaking, because I can see where I said I was going to write a book and I wrote a book, right? But I can also see where I spoke what I consider deaf terms over my relationships, or even with my children as mothers, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, I'll say something that my son, may have done something, and I'm like, oh my God, he's a mess up, and he just gonna keep getting in trouble. And I'm like, why am I saying he gonna keep getting in trouble? Like, I'm speaking that over him. Meanwhile, what I really want, I need y'all to hear me, what I really want is for him to have a successful, viable life. Now, I understand in that he's going to have some lessons and things of that nature, but what I really want for him is abundance. So why in the world am I speaking something completely different? And that's where I was like, okay, I see in so many spaces in my life where I'm like, when I spoke that negative thing, guess what kept happening? Negative things. Now, let me tell you something about that same son, okay? I started speaking differently over his life, and to see even a transformation of him. Now, he's not perfect, because none of us are, okay? Don't come for my kids, all right? Because I come for you, but we didn't talk about that either. But, but the point is that I can see the difference. It's not that he heard what I said, it's that I know what I said.
Out, yeah.
Right. And people don't understand that sometimes you may not say something to somebody, but when you're around them, your energy says what you really think. Your energy says what you really think.
That part and period.
Okay.
That part in period. Yeah. And I'm going to piggyback off of the speaking life and existence into your kids. I had heard recently, and it's also a part of negative speaking. Stop gossiping about your kids. You're talking to someone else about your kids, and you're gossiping and talking about their story and the scenarios and stuff that you're going on. And right now, I might not be talking or speaking on parents with younger kids. We're old. She's old.
I just we got that conversation because let me tell you what kind of friend she is not. Okay, first of all, when I say we've known each other for years, do you know all this time? Let me tell you what kind of friend.
You know what?
All this time she had me thinking that I'm older than.
You know what? This chick, we can talk about that. Old. We could talk about that, but you can say I'm beautiful too. But anyway, let's just go.
Okay, I'm not gonna go there with the people.
But we're gonna talk about that later. Anyway, so but with people with older kids, I want to say 16 and up, I think may be able to relate to this statement, because, and if your kids, if it doesn't relate, then maybe you can help a friend out. who may be going through this. About not gossiping about your kids, not just talking about the things that they're doing and how it's weighing on you, because it weighs on you, because as parents, you feel like it's something you did or you could do better or you can stop. But we forget that there's choices that children make because they're individuals. So the thing is, it's like, stop gossiping about your kids as well, meaning sit and talking about the things they're doing, speak life into their situation, use those creative words and positive words to speak life into, as what you were saying, into it, to create and help them shape their words, because sooner or later you are shaping their worlds, but they're gonna start shaping their worlds too by knowing, like, okay, you know what, that positive energy transfer. It might take a while to land on, because I could witness on that on some kids, but it will land.
And the thing is, so in the parenting realm, the truth of the matter is, when you're venting, you don't realize sometimes that you're gossiping.
Really don't.
I'm gonna be. That was me. I would call her like, look, okay,
I'm gonna say that was me too.
Jesus, he done did this, but it was like, because as moms, we don't have an outlet sometimes.
So we feel like that's an outlet,
but we're not speaking what we want.
Exactly.
We're like, it's like we make a mountain out of a molehill. We take it all the way deep, instead of saying, you know what, my child is going to be a successful young man. He is. I know that this is just a season, and he's going through something, and he's going to be better. That's not how I was talking.
No,
I was like, child, he needs to go on and get his stuff and get up out my house. Like, but I want to be real about that. But it was something that I had to learn, because here's the thing. This is the key. I had to learn with myself first.
Yes.
So because I was putting myself through things and learning, like, man, life and death is like, it's one thing, because I'm gonna come for y'all Christians just a little bit, because we say things, life and death is in the power of a tongue, and then turn around and say the most mean and nasty things.
Exactly.
It's like, well, wait a minute.
It's like that mean usher lady. Now, how you standing in church the whole time and gonna be mean to me?
We're not gonna talk about
We're not gonna talk about that.
But
we will.
We're gonna speak life over her.
Exactly. Because I know standing there might be hard serving some people, but that's another conversation as well.
But you signed up for it, but we're not gonna talk about that right now.
So all I have to say is this: that speak life into the kings and queens that your children will be, and also into yourself. So
right.
We'll just
because truthfully, most parents believe that their children are going to be great in life. It's just in those moments that we're upset. And so it's the thing is, when you learn to start doing that to yourself, because a lot of times we beat ourselves up in moments when we're upset with ourselves.
Absolutely.
So then we extend it to everybody else.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, next.
Look at us. Pick it up.
Okay, so you talked about those death terms, but you also said you realized that you couldn't understand what went wrong until you started therapy sessions. I want to be nosy. What went wrong? What made you go to therapy? Look, I'm gonna act like I don't know, because you know what? I actually don't know. What was that connect?
I literally had,
and I asked you that question for a really important reason.
I literally had a breakdown. So if we go back, I was the personality that just handled things. I'm considered the strong person. So when things were happening in my life, I wasn't dealing with them. I was doing what I was taught, which was get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Get over it, get over it, get over it. Or just get over it, right? Okay, you were, you experienced this trauma, just get over it. And you're going through all these things. I lost a baby at 6 months pregnant. You just get over it. And so you move on with life, and then you get into relationships that were bad for you. You've been sexually touched. Just get over it. Just get over it. And so it came to a point in my life with the relationship that, again, is going to come up in the book. So I'm not going to talk about that till we get to that particular section, where I found myself. I literally sought this therapist out. So I had met her a while ago. I went to a therapist at one session with her before, and I thought she was good. Mm-hmm. But again, I wasn't ready. Mm-hmm. I wasn't ready, because you couldn't tell me, like, look, I got it. I can handle it. I got it. I'm going to get everybody where they need to be. Okay, yes, the oldest was murdered, and I'm going to make sure the kids go to grief therapy. I'm going to make sure my ex-husband is good. He got cancer. We're going to do all the things. I'm going to do it all. And what was happening is, as people would call a house, they didn't ask how I was doing. They were like, how's Paul doing? Or how's Lolly doing? Or how's the kids doing? Yeah. So that's what I thought was okay.
Yeah.
And then one day I had the biggest breakdown I had ever had in my life. Like I was like done. And it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It wasn't that the relationship and what happened at the end drove me to therapy. It was that was the very last thing that had to happen to me where it was like, you going to go really heal from this, because I was dealing, I wasn't healing, and there's a big difference.
Huge.
Because most people deal and they don't heal. I ain't got time to sit in this
Guilty.
emotion. First of all, I'm not gonna sit here and cry.
Guilty.
What I'm gonna do is get up and I'm gonna do this, stuffing my feelings down, stuffing my feelings down. And so I ended up at this lady step. I drove because I live in Pennsylvania. Her office was in New Jersey. Ended up driving. It took me almost an hour and 45 minutes to get there with traffic. I got there literally almost 2 hours early, and I was sitting on her step bawling.
Wow.
Like I was, I mean, when I say bawling, I was crying. And that's not me. First of all, you wasn't going to get me to cry. I mean,
First of all, I'm going to need to ask, did you have an appointment or did you
No. So I did. I had reached out to her.
I just need to let the people know.
I reached out to her for an emergency appointment.
Okay.
And I love her because she literally changed my life.
That's amazing.
When I got to that stoop, this is why it's important to find a therapist that understands you, possibly the culture as well.
Yes.
Because and her name is Belinda, when I reached out to her and she saw the state that I was in, it wasn't about the hour and rushing me and time and money. It was like, oh no, she needs me.
Yes.
So I'm going to put on my therapist hat and I'm going to take it a step further. She gave me everything that I needed to know that in that moment I was going to be okay, because for the very first time in my life, I didn't think that. So. And now usually with me, can't tell, my pride and ego is huge. It's shut it up. I'm like, it's going to be all right. And I got it.
That is, yeah. Go ahead.
See, you know what? This is why you don't interview with your friends. So that's what led me to therapy. And when I got into therapy, it was eye-opening because I got to see where I was the common denominator in a lot of things in my life, where I was blaming people, but I'm like, wait a minute, but I made this choice, and it's not to say, and God, please hear me. It is not to say that someone in your life didn't do something wrong. I'm not saying they did,
but it's realizing the common denominator.
What my choices were.
We need to get that someplace.
Like, oh girl, you're the common denominator.
We need that. Girl, you're the common denominator.
Okay.
I like that.
So at this point, you're blaming, and then let's the mommy and daddy issues, right?
Yeah.
That were still involved in. So it was like, but at this age though, it's not them anymore. I'm grown. I am a grown adult. So yes, there was things that happened in my childhood, but now I was like, yo, it's up to me to
why are you on those crutches?
It's like, oh my God. But because here's why. When things were happening, it wasn't my 40-year-old self that answered the call. It was my 16-year-old self that answered the call.
Wow.
So I would resort back to the 16-year-old me who was wild as all outside and who hated her parents for all her reasons.
Yes.
So then it would just be that tailspin of that's who showed up.
Yes.
Right. But it took therapy for me to even understand that was happening. And then it took bigger than that. It took therapy for me to understand what was the underlying cause of it all my anger. It was when we sat and we pinpointed back, it was one moment that happened in my life that changed everything. And I was like, oh my God. It created a protective barrier. Some would say it was a monster. Some would say it was loud. Some would say it was ghetto. Some would say it was violent, depending upon who you asked, okay? Some would say that. But that was my protective barrier to protect myself because I felt that I wasn't protected by my parents.
So you did
So I created almost like a persona to protect me. And the worst thing in the world is to realize how much damage you did to yourself on your own. It's like, it's one thing for somebody to beat you, but it's a whole nother thing for you to take the belt out their hand and beat yourself.
Yeah.
And not even realize it. So yeah, therapy was everything.
Yes.
Yeah, that was everything.
I just wanted you to share that because I think people don't realize when those moments are like, okay, you get that moment like, okay, well, when am I going to know when I need therapy? Well, maybe that is your moment when you start questioning it, or when you're not sure, when you have that uncertainty. So I just wanted to give someone else like a foundation or a basis to know like when they could reach out, or even before then.
But this is my thing, okay? And everybody may not agree. And again, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But this is how I feel. I think everybody should go to therapy. I think everyone needs a therapist. I'm gonna in their life, and I always say therapist and a coach. Here's why: they do two very different things, but we all have blind spots. Everybody think their stuff don't stink, but I promise you it does.
Oh, I
promise you it does.
Yeah.
We get into and this is National Women's Month, so we can kind of talk about it, right? So we get into these situations and these relationships, and it's always we're blaming the guy. And I'm not saying because these men, but
we gonna focus.
We gonna focus.
That's a whole nother. That's a different conversation.
Right. But it's not about it. And the thing is, though, we're making some of these choices. We're refusing to see the flags that are in front of our face. We're refusing to listen to exactly what's being said to us. Here's the biggest thing. We will betray ourselves in a second. Absolutely. We will come and say, well, you know what? I want a man who is loyal, who's loving, who's spiritual, meaning like, okay, not that he has to go to church every Sunday, but he at least knows God and reads the Bible. I want a guy who's going to be consistent and who's going to be healthy. We say all that. Soon as some slick talking guy come in and he look half good, because don't let him be 6 foot and nothing, okay? 6 foot anything, and smile and say, here's the thing, say all the right things, and you're not paying attention. Every standard you set goes right out of the window.
Exactly.
First of all, he ain't even looked at a Bible. You said you wanted somebody that was spiritual, and whether it's the Bible, Quran, or whatever religion you in, because I'm not here to tell you that. But you say you want a man who knows, who has a relationship with God. He hasn't built anything, but he loves me. And then when everything falls apart, right, you pissed off and you picking him apart. But when you start to pick him apart, you realize you betrayed yourself, because everything, and you notice I'm not talking about, he has to be 6'1", dark skin, chocolate with muscles. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about character traits.
Yes.
And this is the biggest thing to note. You should have a standard of characteristics that you value in someone, and that should be a list of things that you should want in your partner, in your spouse,
because those characteristics aren't going to change. They're going to remain constant throughout the entire relationship.
Exactly.
And that's what's going to maintain, and that's what's going to sustain the relationship. Most of all, the biggest part, the friendship, because you cannot have a relationship without friendship, and you cannot have friendship without trust, and without those character skills, you'll have nothing. You won't have a foundation at all.
And this is what I'll say about character traits stay the same. If you desire someone, because I know this is me, anyone who's with me, just so you know, if my future husband's listening, okay, you have to be.
Oh, well, can he know I'm singing at the wedding? Because I'm going to sing at the wedding. But
whatever. Oh my God! But you have to be into personal development.
Absolutely.
I will not be with someone who is not willing to personally develop themselves, because it's not about it necessarily changing who you are. It's expanding on who you are, right? Like, there's no way I want to look back a year from now and still be the same.
In the same place.
And here's the thing. If you desire that, that's okay. Here's the thing. It doesn't make that person bad. It just makes them not for you.
I agree. But there's no growth and comfort.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
And that's because we think that way. But there are some people who are very comfortable.
Content.
And I was in that relationship, right, with somebody who was very content. And it was me who always wanted more and always wanted to push for more. And he's a great person that has a great heart. It just wasn't for me. He needed someone who was okay with, look, I made it out just enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's all right. I just feel like it doesn't make him bad. It doesn't make me.
No, because
anything.
that goes with people time. And then that's still, it goes with people time. It goes to where they are, where they're planted at in that season of their lives.
Exactly.
So, okay. But that goes without saying. But I think we catapulted to it. And one of the things you said, you wanted to add a disclaimer and say that you spoke life and stuff, that you kept telling yourself that you wasn't afraid of being lonely. And that you want everyone to know that, it's okay with being lonely, but you shouldn't enter a relationship because you're lonely. I wanted you to talk about that.
No, so what I said was you must be okay with being alone.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Right? Yeah, you must be okay with being alone, And you shouldn't enter a relationship because you're lonely. And here's the thing. This is the big. I heard somebody say this, so I don't want to take it from somebody else. If you don't want to be with you, why would somebody else want to be with you?
That's a good thing.
If you don't want to be with you, why would somebody else want to be with you? And so my thing is, I'm okay with being me. I love me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with spending time with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I in this chapter, there is much more that you have to get to. There is a reason why I brought this up, and the reason being was because when I got into relationships, so after the divorce and after the traumatic relationship that I had, I got into other relationships afterwards. And I would say things like, "Well, I don't care if we're together or not, and I don't care about this, and I don't care about that." But it wasn't the truth. It was not the truth. The truth was I loved him. The truth was I was in love with him, but I couldn't allow myself for whatever reason to be in alignment. So that to me is what I talk about when I'm saying you speak in death over something. I don't care if we're together or not. Why are you saying that when that's not true? But that's what I did.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give a disclaimer is I'm not saying that you should jump into a relationship. No, you should be okay with being with you. And here's the other thing. Please stop asking people for what you can't provide. That drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Stop asking for what you can provide. And what do I mean by that? I made a list of character traits that I wanted in my God-given partner because I promise you, who you end up with can make or break your life.
I agree.
Okay. And so the thing for me was not just to list that I wanted someone who was emotionally available, right? Someone who was spiritual, who had a relationship with God, right? Someone who could pray for me instead of pray on me. All those things. But guess what I did? Vulnerable, authentic. But guess what I did? I worked to become those things. That's the thing, right? It's like, so don't get in a relationship because you're lonely. Get in a relationship because you're ready.
That's what the part I wanted you to make sure you said.
Yeah, okay. Don't be. It's like make sure that you are ready.
Yeah.
For and will you ever? Is there a such thing as ever being ready? Here's what I'll say to you: if you have truly forgiven the past and truly have healed those things, then I feel like you're ready to move on. If you're gonna get into the next relationship and you're gonna start bringing in what Billy and Bob did, or what Kathy and Sarah did, see, here's the thing I'm gonna tell you right now: miss me. Don't come to me like I'm so serious. Like the next man, and that's another thing I wrote down, has to be in his healing. Because don't come to me with all of that baggage of what someone else did. I promise you, you will never meet another me, right? And I'm not them, and never will I be, right? And it's not about being better than and worse than whomever you were with. It's not that. It's I am who I am.
Part of that too also that goes along with making sure you forgive or you forgave yourself and you forgave the other person. Because I had a conversation with someone the other day, actually my son, and I said, well, you can't say you forgave someone and then bring it back up. Well, then you didn't forgive them.
That's right.
You cannot say I'm sorry, but that's not an apology. And you're not forgiving and you're not forgiving yourself. So if you haven't forgiven, and if you haven't forgiven yourself, most importantly, I think that's the hardest thing for people to do. I think that was something I struggled with a long time, forgiving myself for things. But if you haven't forgiven, then you're not going to be in a place for growth and you're not going to be open.
And here's the thing: the best apology is change behavior. How I know I have forgiven myself is in the way that I behave and act and talk and walk in this life. Period. The best apology. Please stop saying sorry to people and turning around and doing the same thing the next week. That is not the apology. The best apology is change behavior. Period. So yeah.
The one other thing I wanted to talk about in this chapter, and something I never connected, so I wanted you to bring this out because then I feel like this is true. You said when you speak death negatively over yourself or someone else, it's from a place of fear. I never connected negative speaking and fear.
Yeah.
I just want you to talk about that.
Yeah, because for me, the fear of success, right? What if this actually works out? And so sometimes it's easier to tear things down because you're afraid than to build it up.
Yes.
Right. And so for me, I realized a lot of the negative things was fear. It was all being afraid of what others would think, being afraid of what others would say, being afraid of just whatever that next level looked like to me. And so even when I would get mad and talk negatively about my kids, it was a place of fear. I was so scared that what they were doing was going to end up in prison, or like my other son, murdered. So then you start talking negatively. Why? Because I'm scared.
Yeah.
Because I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something else about me. I'm gonna beat you to it. Now, in a relationship, if I start getting like, so for me, if I start really going off, or I'm going to that place of I'm speaking mean, you know why? I'm gonna end this thing first. The fear of getting my heart broken.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end this thing first, right? Like it, but I did not. It's so amazing to me that that's another thing that came out with therapy. It's like, listen, why I'm trying to shield myself from the hurt and the pain of what I think that I'm going to feel. I may not feel any of it. I don't know. But guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to shield myself, because that was another protective barrier that I built, because growing up, all I heard about myself was what? I was bad. I was this. I was that, right? So for me, it was like that it scared me that I could ever be back in a particular place. So then I would just start talking negatively about whatever. And I realized that all of that was fear.
Wow. I'm going to end this part with you saying how you should replace those death terms.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Whenever you are thinking a negative thought or speaking something negative, I want you to write it down. And then I want you to replace it with 3 positive things. Why? It takes more than one. Because our brains are automatically wired to be negative. It's the easiest thing to go to. So the way to change it is to replace the death terms, the things that you spoke badly about. Say, for example, for yourself, it's like, well, I don't deserve it, or I'm not worthy, right? You have to turn that back around and say, I am worthy. I do deserve this. I worked hard for this. I show up. I love whatever that is that you have to say. Remind yourself to speak life.
Yes.
Speak life. And here's the thing. People will tell you, don't fake it till you make it. I'm going to tell you, when it comes to this, I'm going to need you to fake it till you make it. And what that means is I need you to stand in that mirror, and I need you to speak life over yourself until you believe it. Because sometimes you have to keep speaking the thing to believe it, and that's okay. Don't let nobody else tell you anything different. I stood in that mirror many a days before I could be like, wow, I really do feel like I'm a great mom, because I didn't think that. I didn't think I was a great mother at all, right? I thought I was failing at this thing, child. But it took that.
Look, I'm like, yeah, those fail moments, those moments where you're like, what am I doing wrong? I thought
when they come and tell you ain't nothing. You know what? I will almost cuss. When them kids come and tell you ain't nothing as a parent, you be like, what? Anyway, I digress.
I did. Look, I take that back when I said I wanted to end on that. I want to end this part of that conversation on you asking for help in your journal, and how important it is to get help, to have a mentor, to have a life coach, to have a therapy. I want you just to reiterate to people how not just having a circle of friends, but having a circle, a network of people at different levels, education-wise, experience-wise, professional level, to have those additional help in this journey, and why they're so important.
Number one, we were not born alone. We were not brought here to do this alone. Along our journey, if we stop to think about it, there are people that come along and they're really there to help us. The problem with society today is we get into this, I don't need anybody. I don't need a man. I don't need a this, and I don't need a friend. And again, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to challenge you on that. That is the layer that you're putting up to protect yourself, because the truth of the matter is we all need one another.
Yes.
Every single one of us needs help. I could not do this alone. I can't do it alone, nor will I do it alone. And I don't care what has happened in my family. I have had aunts, my mother, my father, all along the way I've had help. We all need help. The thing is, sometimes you ask for help from the wrong person.
Yes.
And so what happens is, it's like, well, because we know we need proof. When we speak negatively, we need proof, right? If I ask people for help and they don't help me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, you're asking the wrong person.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to pay for the help.
Yes.
What I realized is when I stopped going to my friends and saying the same things over and over again and then running back to that man.
Yes.
Okay.
Look. Wait. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it here.
What I realized is,
and when he was hard-headed? Woo, that part? Oh.
Okay,
Go ahead.
What I realized is when I started paying to go to therapy, my life changed. And here's what I realized. I wasn't paying for therapy. I was investing in myself. I was investing in my growth, my development, it was to me, my life of abundance is here. My life of abundance is here. What's in the way is the fact that I was refusing to invest in myself. Right. And then here's the other thing too. We want everybody to invest in us, right? We want people, but we don't want to do it for ourselves. This is the thing too. We're going to get ready to talk about this, but it's just the fact of I want everybody to hear this. Everyone needs help.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Be careful, true, of who you go get help from. Even if you're going to go to a therapist and or a coach, it's an interview. Yes. You should make sure that they are aligned with your values. Yes. Here's the thing. Do you know what your values are? That's the other problem because most people don't.
Yes. And research your therapist.
Exactly.
I will say I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. I was in a bad space. And I was like, oh, I need help. I need to go to therapy. I waited to go to therapy. Well, in that blindness, I referred a therapist, no research, just, a therapist, this person gonna help me and help me get this off of me. I got there. I was so angry. I was like, what school did this person go to? Like, wait, do you know anything about me? My culture, do you know? And I thought about it all the while I was sitting there listening to, I don't want to call this person a fool, but listening to this fool, but didn't realize I was the fool. I did no research and I just put it all on someone having a title of a therapist before looking up. So just be careful of that too, because you do have to interview it because it's just like a relationship. Yeah. It might not match. The next one I got wind up crying and talking to me. I was
it might not be a fit.
Maybe I don't need. Look, exactly.
Oh, you need therapy. Maybe you don't need.
I actually found the right person after 3 tries. After three tries, I got the right person. And look, I don't want to talk about the person that caused me to need extra therapy, but that's
and here's the thing. I've had more than one therapist because each one of them, some of them specialize in certain things.
You know what? I
have my new therapist, which I want you to see. Here's the thing. People don't get this, but it's absolute fact. And when you get out of your own way and you can hear, you'll understand it. Every doctor has a doctor. Every doctor has a doctor. They can't perform surgery on themselves, right? So yes, I still go to therapy. Why? It's important for me to continue to develop myself. How in the world are you going to be a leader leading people and you don't develop yourself? Listen, I know someone right now who is, she works in like the social work therapist, want to diagnose everyone, but literally won't go for herself because what happens a lot of times is when we get in these leadership positions, we think, oh, we got it all together, which I say in the book, I had to realize real quick.
Yeah,
no, ma'am.
You don't.
No, ma'am.
You don't. One of the best things that I was listening to an interview and a person said, honestly, I think the person was Wayne Brady. He was saying how he has multiple therapists. Like he has a person that just deals with his trauma, a person that just deals with his relationship, and the person I was interviewing, I guess thoughtlessly said like, oh, that's because you have money. And he was like, no, he was just like, I can't possibly put that one thing on one therapist. And how would they be able to sort that all out? And it makes so much sense to me now. It made so much sense to me that I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm putting this one job, like this on this one person. That's like me as a mother, a wife, the cook, the cleaner, the educator. We're so stressed out and drained out sometimes. Like, okay, how could that person perfectly help me?
In all the areas. So like my grief therapist was very different and helped me look at grief, but she was specialized in that grief.
Thing. So you need that specialized thing.
Right.
And it took you to where you needed to be.
Exactly.
To where you can help others in grief.
That part.
And you do that very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, chapter 3. Let's see if I can challenge her and see if she will accept the challenge. The title of challenge. I need her to do this. Come on, do this. This will be good. Really good. Move your body and free your mind. Move your body. Come on. Show everybody how you can move your body.
First of all, I worked out this morning. And let me tell you something. And I really didn't want to.
Come on, just do a two-step. Do a two-step.
First of all, the way my checking and savings is set up right now, aka my back, my neck and my back out. I don't know Oh, she tried it.
Okay, I tried, y'all.
Yeah, she tried it.
She does. She dances. She moves very well. I have been through her fitness. So I have been where she challenged me in
10 years.
Go ahead. So I want you to tell this story since you're not moving your body.
The thing is, I believe that fitness is very important in your life, but I don't believe it's not for the reasons that people think. Mm-hmm. Number one, fitness is a form of therapy for me. Yes. There are many different therapeutic avenues. Fitness was one of them for me. Mm-hmm. When I was going through some of my worst trauma, particularly at the time, I was, when we lost my oldest son, when I would go to the gym I was an instructor, that was a thing that was helping to save me. At the time, I wasn't going to the therapist for all my stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I was just making sure the kids and everybody else was straight. And so for me, the gym was like that outlet. Yes. So not only it was a place where I could just get out of my head and get into my body. A lot of times things go left with people because they stay in their head and don't move it through their bodies. And so for me, it was a form of therapy. But bigger than that, it was like, I was gonna say something, and I was like, man, I don't want to give away too much of the book. I'll say this: health is true wealth. Yes. Yes. I know you've heard it. You're like, oh, that's cliche. Here's the thing with these when people say, oh, it's cliche. Is it true though? Is it true though? It's the truth. And the thing about it is, as a leader, and we're all leaders in our own right. But if you're a mom, you're a leader. Absolutely. Right? If you listen, even if you're an auntie, you're a leader. If you're an uncle, you're a leader. If you're a dad, you're a leader. Mm-hmm. Right? And so here's the thing: you want to lead by example, and you should want to be healthy for yourself. Exactly. Right? And here's the thing about this vessel that I've learned over the years: we are so blessed, and people don't want to hear it because they always got to wait for the diagnosis. So blessed to be able to move how we're moving. Absolutely. Like, I laughed and joke about my neck and my back. It's fine. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? But it's just like, but there's somebody who's that really cannot would be praying to be able to move their bodies the way we're moving. To any extent. Exactly. To any extent. Just to walk. Yes. Just to walk, uh-huh. Right? And to walk upright. And I get it. People are like, yeah, I know we should be blessed. But here's the thing. Everything that you desire in life is going to require you to have not just a healthy mind, but a healthy body. Mm-hmm. Everything you require in life is not only going to require you to have a healthy mind, but a healthy body. Exactly. Right? Because how could you be efficient if you're not in good health? Exactly. And we're not talking about skinny and fat. Like, that's not what this is. Look, Lord knows we're not talking about skinny. When we're talking about, first of all, I'm thicker than a Snicker and I love me, okay? But in terms of this book, in terms of self-love, when I think about fitness, it's loving myself enough to take care of the vessel that I am in, mm-hmm. Loving myself enough to keep it moving, keep it as healthy as I can. We all have those down moments, but I'm telling you that when you start to move your body, so it helps to clear up some of the fog that's in your mind, right? Bigger than that, it's so funny how people don't even understand how mind-body works. I talked about it a little bit the last time, mm-hmm. about how you journal sometimes, yes, and you're feeling things in your body. Yes. And then it's like, man, you don't understand. Like, man, why am I feeling better? Because you got it out of your body. Yes. Right? And so you have to move it. But I'm gonna get off my soapbox. And that's the part of like that like when people get in an argument and storm out, mm-hmm. or because they got to go for a walk because they have to clear their heads. And that right. Walking and that movement helped you get started. You talked about how you choose to make have that fitness as your therapeutic outlet, but you need an outlet like that. Those moments of clarity. I'm not in the best physical shape. Look, old people problem. I walked down the steps and hurt my foot and haven't been able to do anything in like 8 weeks. Just dumb, but I don't even go there anyway. So, but again, I'm gonna need you to change that phrase because we are talking about speaking life for ourselves, and I won't let you say just dumb. Well, just walking down the steps, walking and not missing the step. Walking. Right, but that happens. But there's a reasons why your body is responding the way it is, and it's not because it's dumb. it's because it's going through. We're not gonna get into her
We're not
business.
gonna get it, but I will say I
And
miss my therapeutic outlet because those were the moments where even if I
well, you
took,
can
I
drop right now
chose.
and give me 20 push-ups. We can get to it.
I'm not because you couldn't give me my 2 steps. I would have if you would have, but
See, this is what
okay.
I'm saying.
See,
Oh, so
petty.
now you need
Anyway,
somebody to
yup,
do it.
yup.
Okay,
I really do. Yes, I do.
We're not gonna do this.
Anyway, see, let me go back to my train of thought. What I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted that within those 8 weeks, I realized how badly I missed that therapeutic moment because I would use my job drives me insane. So that hour, my lunch break, honestly, I'd get a smoothie or whatever, or snack on something, or pack lunch and eat around that. But my lunch hour, I would go to the gym, go to the park, go do something to move my body, to get my thoughts, my frustration, to get some clarity. So to get resolutions to maybe a report I was reading or something I needed to reconcile on the account. But that hour of clarity was everything to me. So I miss that so much.
Right. So what you're talking about too is when you stay stuck in a problem, you become a part of the problem. When you step away from it, you come up with a solution.
And yes, that part.
Yeah.
So I love that you said physical motivation and inspirations are temporary. Like I'm like,
yes, they're temporary, and so most people are looking for someone to motivate them, someone to inspire them, but that's all temporary. Listen, I go to conferences all the time, right? That weekend, everybody's hyped. We're like, yes, we're gonna do it. Oh my God, I got it, right? E.T. the hip hop
really
preacher,
like
yeah, he really like that. My mentor, who I adore, he does. That's what he does for a living. He's on stage, but here's the thing: he's really not trying to just motivate, and inspirate you for a minute. He's trying to get you to transform your life, but people don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's about the transformation of a thing. So even when I wrote this, I didn't write this for you just to be like, oh, let me get some motivation. No, I pray that these words transform your life, because that's where the true change comes in at. Because here's the thing: we can be motivated to work out for 30 days and quit. A lot of people go into these subconscious self-sabotaging patterns where they start something and never complete the mission.
Yes. So one of the things that you brought up is to find a like-minded community to join.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. A part of why I have been successful up until this point is because I surround myself with people who 100%, I would say 1,000%, uplift me. They uplift me. They hold me accountable too. So it's not all this false positivity. You go, girl. No, it's like, listen, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z, and you didn't achieve that thing. Now, granted, you can have 1,000 excuses if you want to, but the bottom line, that's an excuse, and you need to go ahead and do what you said you were going to do. So they hold me high. See, this is the thing about love. Don't tell me you love me, but don't tell me what's good for me.
Yes.
And agreeing with me all the time is not good for me. I don't need a yes man.
I say it all the time. If you have friends that agree with you all the time, you have a cage. You do not have a circle. You have a cage.
100%.
If everyone is justing you to death and agreeing, everybody agrees about the same thing, y'all all have the philosophy, y'all are in a cage together.
Exactly. You should be around people who challenge you. So when I talk about communities, these are people who are going to uplift you, challenge you to stretch yourself, challenge you to get out of your comfort zone. Listen, and then, become accountability partners. So we keep in touch with each other. So like this morning when I got up and I did my workout, I sent my video like, girl, I did it, tired and all, right? Didn't want to do it. And so that becomes important. Listen, right people, right place, right time. All of that speaks to environment and community. And so the one thing I wanted to do as a result of this book was invite more people into my community. And so if you are interested in joining my community, please subscribe to my website, www.moesass.com.
Can you say that again?
Once you get the book, it's www.moesass.com. And the reason I want to do this is because I want a safe space for people to come to. We live in a world that's full of judgment, full of hate, full of just all sorts of negativity. And I want people to be able to come to a place where they can grow, learn, be willing to be held accountable, but also see that there are people out here that are really doing this. Listen, everybody's talking about there is hell on earth and everything is so bad. That's because of the places and the spaces that they're in and the things that they're surrounding themselves with. I'm in a room full of people like, yo, it's beautiful. life is beautiful. They get up in the morning, it's like, oh, it's great, right? We're not out here, and even when things happen in our lives, we're still like we're good. We're still like we're good. That makes such the big difference in the world.
Huge.
Listen, the big difference between calling a girlfriend when you're going through something that's gonna rile you up and be like, "Yup, let's go beat all they behinds," versus the girlfriend that's gonna say, "You know what? Let's take a second and pause, and breathe and reflect before we make any more choices and any more moves." And as we're getting ready to come to a close, I don't know if you had anything else left in this chapter that you wanted to hit, because I know we're gonna stop.
I want to hit. This is my last point, and you're not gonna stop me because I'm not stopping because she want to stop. I'm stopping because I want to stop.
See, this is we're actually gonna have another conversation. We're gonna put this book down for, but go ahead.
No, we're not. No, we're not. I'm not talking to you anymore. This is my last part. I wanted to end with the mirror affirmation. Yeah. And I wanted to say, I am a winner. And I wanted you to say,
you are a winner.
Thank you.
See, this is what I have to deal with. So, mirror affirmations are everything, guys. Please, please know that even when you don't feel it, if you just do it over and over, you'll start to feel it. You will be surprised at just how much things start to open up for you when you start to affirm yourself. Again, we're looking for validation and affirmation from everyone outside of ourselves. You have to give it to yourself. Stop looking for people to give you something that you're not willing to give yourself. That is the biggest thing I want you to hear. You want to be affirmed, you want to be reaffirmed, you want to be validated. If you don't do it for you, why in the world do you think somebody else is going to do it?
They can't.
No, here's the thing. The biggest part is you won't even receive it. They will tell you, "Oh my God, you're the best thing since sliced bread."
And you be like, "No, I'm not.
Oh my God,
I got the shirt for $9.99. Right. What are you talking about?"
Won't even take it in. So that's my biggest thing when it comes to mirror affirmations. I really want people to walk away from this video with this today. I want you to walk away from this with understanding that everything you speak in your life will be true. Everything you speak in your life will be true. That's number one. Number two, treat your body like it's gold because it is. Because it is. Don't think that things can't or won't happen to you. They will if you keep neglecting you. That is a part of self-love. How you speak to yourself, how you care for yourself. And don't expect anybody to take care of your health issues if you haven't taken care of your health issues.
Okay.
All right. And I'm excited because we will be back again